Earlier today, President Shafiq sent out an email announcing the end of negotiations and declared explicitly that the university will not divest from Israel. President Shafiq claimed that we had had constructive dialogue regarding the student encampment and made insincere statements regarding the university's actions. This is a smokescreen, bureaucracy is a prison, and the students refuse to trade in the blood of Palestinians. The university has conducted itself with obstinacy and arrogance, refusing to be flexible on some of our most basic points. That said, we were engaging in good faith negotiations until the administration cut them off under threat of suspensions. Where we asked for amnesty, they gave us more discipline.
What kind of system do we live in where an institution can call the police on you for opposing genocide, but there's no authority that you can call on an institution that supports genocide? That's the backwardness and hypocrisy of the capitalist system. This is what we're seeing at Columbia University. This is what we're seeing at the University of Texas, at Austin. This is what we're seeing at campuses all across the country, where encampments just like these are popping up, showing the bravery and the militancy of the students who refuse to stop the fight until Palestine is free. And what they also have in common is the role of the police. The police as an institution in the United States emerges out of slavery. The police exists ultimately to protect capital and the capitalist ruling class. The police like to say that they're here to protect and serve. But what they're protecting is the property of the rich, and what they're serving are their interests. They're not protecting and serving us. We will stay in the streets. We will stay in the fight. We will not be cowed. We will stay in the struggle. We will strengthen our solidarity. We will build the movement, and we will keep on and fight on and march on and chant on until Palestine is free.
Welcome back to another episode of From Right to Red. I am Craig.
And I am Paul.
All right.
I wanted to do the voice.
I know. Paul's been itching to do a Israeli voice all day.
Wait, or do you really mean my natural God-given voice?
It is a natural God-given voice.
Yeah,
as a Jewish
just
man.
like God gave the Jews Israel.
Yes.
Starting it off on a good note.
Yeah, we're already fired up here, folks. But before we get into Israel-Palestine, we're going to talk today another UAW update. I know it's becoming almost like
skipped over Patreon.
No. I'm going back. I'm going in reverse order. I'm going in reverse order. We're going to start with an update on UAW, but before that, I really was planning on going.
You know, the order I just told you 30 seconds ago we're going in. Fuck all that.
I was actually going in reverse order, to be clear. But yes, if you like what you hear today, if you've liked what you've listened to in the past, and you'd like us to continue delivering this content to you, please go to patreon.com/FromRightToRed. And I think we mentioned this, excuse me. I think we mentioned this on another episode, but we've actually got, we officially now have some Patreon subscriber only content. So if you're a fan of the show and you want to hear full episodes, uncut, uncensored, unedited in any way, as of right now, that's what's on there. We've got some extras for you. We can't promise that's always going to be the case going forward, that you're going to get everything that we record uncensored, uncut. But as of right now, that's the setup.
As Craig's slurs get worse and worse, it'll be less that we can leave unedited. But
I get a little loose. I have a couple drinks, and before you know it, my uncle, I'm channeling my dead uncle. So I don't control how the universe works, guys. I'm sorry.
It's out of his control. It's
completely out of my control. So yes, go to patreon.com. Go ahead and subscribe for us. That would be fantastic. All right. We've got some news with the UAW. They a while back, Sean Fain had the president of the UAW had promised that they were going to be looking outside of their traditional venues as far as organizing and their union stewardship goes. And he has delivered on that now with the a really historic vote to unionize for a Volkswagen plant in Tennessee.
Hell yeah.
And I think it's like 3,000 some workers, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, which is
amazing for so many reasons.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. I saw a cool video of a gentleman that voted yes to unionizing who had originally been anti-union, and he talked really clearly about like why he had the change of heart. And it's really interesting. Maybe I'll link it in the description. It's kind of a longer video. It's like 10 minutes, but if you want to hear a great example of somebody who is like, a very traditional kind of like Southern working class guy. I believe he was a transplant, but he's lived in the South longer than he lived in the North, and he's just a working class guy. He's got like those Southern type of values. If you want to hear his understanding of why unions are important, I think it's a great video to watch. He talks about a lot of things that so many people can identify with, issues in the workplace that kind of compound and stack on top of each other because of the fact that like the people that are analyzing what's happening and making policy decisions are not the people that are involved in actually doing the work. So you get like this disconnect from line level to management that is irreconcilable in a lot of ways. It's really, really cool to hear him talk about that and, saying things like, we're America. We bring democracy all over the place. So why wouldn't we want to have democracy at work? You know what? Let him live in his delusion.
Allegedly.
If it gets him to, if it lets him to be pro-union, you know what? You can think we brought democracy to wherever you want, buddy, as long as you vote yes on that card.
I think it's great because you're getting to watch someone who literally had their mind changed because of their own life experience. And to me, I think it's a good way to show people, because I know we say it over and over, we know a lot of people on the right. And I know like sometimes it just takes that of seeing someone who's very much like them and seeing how things didn't play out how they thought they would on paper, of actually seeing this idea we have of capitalism is a great idea, but actually put into practice, it's not playing out how you think it is.
Right.
So that's a good thing to have people see.
Yeah, now I'm for sure going to link this video because I think it's an important lesson whether you're on the right or the left. Like if you're on the right, it's a great lesson to learn about like how this person would identify with being pro-union. And that if you're somebody on the left, it's important to listen and understand to how this person explains himself. That's really good if you're like in doing the work of trying to like convince people, because there are people that think a lot like him, and like you should understand like the path that they took to get to the conclusion that's correct. And you want to be able to exploit that.
Yes, and to understand that the unions are for all workers. They're not for Republicans or Democrats. They are for human workers. That's it.
Absolutely.
Like that comes first.
And sometimes you got to, cross the line and show some solidarity with somebody that you might not politically and culturally and socially align with in every single way.
Imperfect allies.
Yeah, you got to do it. When it comes to a union vote, you got to do it. When it comes to direct action, you got to do it. And I think this is a good segue actually into the college protests because there's never been a time where solidarity is more important.
Right.
I don't want to hear excuses, especially second order excuses about the way that people are protesting. Like, that's nuts. And we can talk more in depth about that later if you want to, but if you had a specific intro that you wanted to do for the college campuses, but I think, solidarity. 100%.
Solidarity needs to be there. The biggest point I'll have on that is I have a bad thing with blanking on people's names who said things as soon as I'm about to quote them.
Yeah, it happens.
But you do not get to decide how someone retaliates against an oppressor. That goes for Gaza. That goes for student protesters. You don't get to see someone struggling and decide how they get to struggle too. Like, no, either you want them to have human rights or you don't. Like, if we're going to be this country that claims we want to bring human rights everywhere and democracy, then we got to stand up for human rights. It's that simple.
Very, very simple.
We don't get to pick and choose like, these white Jews get human rights, but anyone else doesn't. Like, if we're going to do that, we need to do that. You can't just be all talk.
Right.
Can't claim you're standing for that and then not stand for it ever and actually abuse your own people who want to stand for it.
Absolutely.
Like, we learned that shit from you guys telling us that growing up. Like,
you
guys are the ones that told us to feel that.
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, so we have.
I'm already
riled
up.
Paul is very riled up, which is good. This is a good topic to be riled up about, and I wanted to say, as I think is a good intro to this, is looking at like the speed of these protests. For those of you that don't know it or aren't watching, I know it's kind of hard with the media right now. There are college campus protests going on all across the country, mostly aimed at the divesting. So many of these college campuses across the United States, even if it's a small amount, a lot of them have endowments that are managed by funds for stocks, basically. And what these students are saying is, hey, if our tuition is going into these funds that are in stocks for Israeli companies, we do not want that anymore. We do not want that. And it's the exact same strategy that was used against South Africa. We cannot support that financially. And so these protests, when Paul and I first started talking about them on the, let me get the exact date here, like the 25th or the 26th. And at that time there were 12 or 13 participating
we counted
campuses.
Like 12 or 13 at the time.
Yeah. And now, as of today, we are recording on the 29th. That's already up to over 60 now. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of college campuses, and the rate at which these protests and encampments are growing is really rather impressive. It's shaping up to be, really, really pivotal and historic if we can keep the momentum up and keep the momentum going.
Yes, which we've even seen now, not just in the U.S., which is beautiful to see solidarity happening everywhere.
Absolutely.
I love seeing that pop up, like especially Germany, France, places like that, where like there's still a lot of history there with what they're co-opting right now, with what the Zionists are co-opting, like this whole, well, bad things happen, so like we all say anti-Semitism's bad now, so like they just use that for everything.
Right.
And it's like, no, even Jewish people who still live in France are like, this is messed up. That should tell you something.
Right.
Literal survivor of the Holocaust is on video speaking at these protests. Have you seen that video, Craig? I might have to send you that.
I didn't see that one, no, but that sounds pretty wild.
But a literal Holocaust survivor. She's very old now. She was like 8 when she left, but she was at Columbia speaking to the protesters in solidarity with them.
Yeah,
that should tell you something. Like, Zionism does not equal Jewish. Always.
No,
they're not equally the same thing.
Not even close. And it's been like a long-term project to try and conflate the two, and it makes it difficult to navigate this topic sometimes,
Yes.
and even in that Michael Brooks video that I shared back in October, he mentions this because there's a student that asks him, isn't it difficult to be kind of like standing side by side or working with neo-Nazis? And it's like, that's not what's happening. Number one.
No.
Like, are there neo-Nazis that say, that we need to stop Israel? Yeah, of course, but that doesn't change the reason why all of these people are standing up for what's happening in Palestine,
Or just because Hamas publicly did a statement saying, like, we stand by these students, doesn't mean Hamas infiltrated the schools and started protests.
Yeah.
Like,
and like, oftentimes it is important to look at who are the people that are agreeing with me on a topic. That can be instructive and sometimes quite a bit, but it's not like a blanket rule where it's like, if neo-Nazis also think Israel is bad, then Israel must be good. Like, that's not the way that it works.
That's not math.
Yeah.
That math is not adding up, bro.
For sure.
I don't stand with that.
Not at all.
I do think it is important for anyone looking into this topic, if you don't already know, I did want to share one or two stories, which there's plenty more than just these. College protests have been a very useful thing for a lot of movements in our history.
Yeah.
So these are just some examples that came to mind for me really quick. The first one is Kent State. Kent State is pretty well known, but I wanted to even pull this from Kent State's like actual website, talking about an exhibit they have all about it. That this exhibit highlights social activism occurring in and around 3 state universities during the years leading up to these shootings at South Carolina State, Kent State, Jackson State, and Mississippi. While each institution and geographical region had its own unique history, culture, and approaches to activism, all three would become victims of state violence and murder against students and student activists. Showcased here are selected key events in each of the three institutions' immediate environments, indicating a growing level of civil rights actions, anti-war protests, and development of a Black Power movement occurring in 1960 through 1967. So these protests are nothing new. We've been seeing them since the 60s, and we've been seeing a retaliation through state violence whenever these protests happen. So
Right.
This isn't new, hearing them say, we need to call the National Guard, and then Congress literally being like, nah, bro. So then they call the NYPD. Like, this is nothing new. This isn't like justified in any way because it ends up the same every time where they look bad.
Yep.
So at the urging of the Student Action Committee, South Carolina state students staged mass protests, sit-ins, and a campus strike in response to the school's failure to rehire 2 white faculty members who were supportive of the students' civil rights activities, which we're watching right now happen, the same shit. The series of events referred to as The Cause involved hundreds of students and was reported in the Movement SNCC newsletter of California. Amid controversy, Kent State chapter of CORE, C-O-R-E, is finally chartered as a student organization. Members continued efforts to end housing discrimination in Kent and also successfully campaigned to have bias clauses removed from charters of student organizations, including fraternities and sororities. So not only did they win their like human rights things they were going for, like allowing Black students who go to the school to live on campus, like that's literally how crazy the shit they were fighting for was, but it also meant other schools would kind of follow the same guidelines that Kent State decided, like how we should treat protesting, how we should handle activists on campus.
Right.
So that really like set a precedent of like, hey, maybe calling in National Guard to kill students isn't a cool thing.
Right.
So we learned this in 67 at Kent State, like literally that long ago, and we're repeating the same horrible things.
I'm kind of alluded to this earlier, but the people that want to talk about like the way the protests are taking place is so aggravating to me because of things like this, like specifically because it leads to this, like the kind of like concern trolling about like, oh, these protesters are getting kind of violent, these kids are getting they're getting kind of like too loud, and they're disturbing classes, and they're saying chants that are mean. Like, that's so ludicrous. It's such a ludicrous thing to give a shit about. Yeah, it's just so ridiculous to give a shit about that, because we know what happens. Like Paul said, like we know what happens. Like those kind of concerns lead to like, well, somebody's got to take care of it, and somebody who got to take care of it leads to let's call in the National Guard. And what happens when that happens? Like people get shot and killed.
Like you're sending in people who are trained to shoot and kill people. Like
right.
That's their job.
And for those of you that are like, okay, you guys are going, oh, you're getting a little bit too paranoid. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's already
bastards, though.
Yeah. So. There's already photos of snipers on the top of these universities. Like, give me a break, dude. What are you talking about? Yeah. I'm paranoid. Why in the world is our tax money going to arm snipers on the rooftops of universities aimed at children, at kids, all right, they're all over 18. Okay, they're adults, but they're 18.
What person,
like, come on, dude, what are we doing here?
What person also can you ever call good who's like, yeah, just headed into work, about to go sit there and look at a bunch of college kids through a scope and maybe shoot one?
Right.
That's not a good guy. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
Like that guy's not based.
No, that guy is not cool in any way.
Because I feel it's kind of an injustice that we didn't even say it. If you don't know how Columbia kind of started this whole thing, what really pushed it, like they've been kind of for 2 years now trying to quiet like SJP, Jewish Voice for Peace, like anything like that. But the literal valedictorian of this year, like so we're talking the best student to come out of this university this year, is Palestinian with a focus in, guess what? Genocide studies.
Right.
And they decided, we're afraid of what this person might say, so we're not going to let her talk.
Yep.
So literally, these people who stand up for free speech, who love cops, people on the right, you're literally contradicting yourself. Like, I love free speech unless it's not what I wanted to hear.
Right.
Like,
where are all these free speech warriors right now?
Yeah,
like Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro, like you guys, and Jerry Seinfeld. I just saw some article about him today, still complaining about censorship and cancellation. And it's like, why aren't you talking about this then?
Yeah. Like,
and I know hypocrisy shaming like doesn't work.
Especially like, Seinfeld. He's like screaming from the rouftops about how like I can't do comedy anymore. Like,
I know. Give me a break, like, dude. Shut the fuck up and go enjoy one of your $1 million, $5 million mansions, please. Nobody wants to hear from you anymore. You weren't funny in the show. The show was only funny because of Larry David. Everybody knows that.
Thank you.
Like, it could have literally been anybody. Yeah. It could have literally been anybody. Not only was Jerry Seinfeld like not important to the premise of the show because Larry David did it all, but like also he wasn't even the best character on the show, even remotely close. No. So like
George Costanza is
dude,
probably the best, and Kramer is one of the funniest. Like
right,
and Seinfeld just is kind of like there.
He's basically like the same character as like The Apartment. Like he's just like background.
He is The Apartment.
Yeah. It's like, shut up. Nobody cares. But yeah, like these fucking people talking about free speech, you won't hear them say shit about these college campus protests except for we need to get them under control. And so what the fuck are you talking about?
Why don't you get the fucking Israeli government under control? Like,
right, dude.
They're doing quite a bit more violence. Like, and I feel like it's being used to hide some of that violence because some of the wildest stories we've seen from Gaza have been breaking during this and getting no coverage. Well, at least from the main media, the state-owned media, if you want to say that. So anyway, I'm Tucker Carlson. It used to be that our media was not state-owned. What is going on?
It used to be that our media was owned by real, true American heroes.
Jews.
Like,
heroes.
like the defense industry, like General Dynamics.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like Colombia has like done bad things to protesters in the past to have learned from this before, like now, right?
No, of course not.
No. Oh, wait. Colombia
is this breaking news?
68?
Oh,
what's
late
this?
Breaking news.
At Columbia University? Are we talking the new Columbia University being opened in Tel Aviv?
Yeah, definitely.
Which is why they won't divest right now, because literally the guy who put in the most funding most recently said he'd only do it if they build a Tel Aviv campus.
Dude, which is crazy to think about. I just need to interject this. I know this is kind of like an aside, but like, think about this. Think about being a Palestinian, right? And you're coming out of like probably one of the worst regions in the world. And you manage to just like get yourself through hard work and sacrifice a golden ticket to America to on scholarship, I'm guessing at Columbia University, right? And you're there and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, welcome. We appreciate you being here. A big thing that we're working on right now is building an entire new college that you would never be able to go to. Ever.
Oh, yeah.
You're not allowed to be involved in it in any way because it's in Tel Aviv. So you can't have anything to do with it. Like,
yeah. I guess
so
I didn't
welcoming.
think to mention that.
Yeah,
if you didn't know, a Tel Aviv campus is not accessible to a Palestinian.
Yeah. Like, goddamn. Not that like there's a ton of, I'm being hyperbolic, of course. There's not a ton of Columbia students that are like going to be jumping over to go to Tel Aviv University, but like,
I bet I can guess which ones are.
Oh yeah. And also like, that's like how, I don't know. It just feels weird. It's like coming into a guest's house as like a Jewish person or something. And then being like, hey, by the way, we've got like ovens over there. Like, stay away. Like, how can you feel comfortable there? Oh, yeah, my guest is harboring Nazis next door. That's weird.
But the only feelings we're worried about are Jewish feelings, okay? Like, if you're not Jewish, fuck your feelings, okay?
Fuck your feelings. What happened at Columbia previously?
Yeah, we're getting off track. But so like I said, 1968. This is once again pulled. Actually, no, this isn't pulled from their own website. This is pulled from someone who wrote about it, who used to work, and it's now removed from Columbia's website because people were screenshotting the shit out of it and posting it all over Instagram. But anyway, I do want to read this from William W. Sales Jr., which, first of all, what a name.
Awesome name.
William W. Sales, and you're writing, you should be in sales. What are you doing?
100%. Yeah.
But he writes, for many of us, Columbia turned out to be a bitter disappointment. We saw the university as a community of good, elite white folks, wild, and assumed we were safe from racial bigots there. We were wrong. For some of the good white folks were as bigoted as their poorer counterparts. Those who were not personally racial bigots supported policies of institutional racism that did harm to black folks and people of color. Thus, We increasingly were alienated from Columbia. This alienation, however, led us to search for more satisfying mission to promote human rights and social change. An older group of conservative black student assimilationists, Jesus, why did I hate that
Why
word
is
so
that a
much,
word? Yeah.
and gradualists were nervous about challenging the racial status quo on campus. These two groups struggled for influence and leadership within the students' Afro-American society, with the conservatives winning out initially over a more activist minority. The essence of that conflict was encapsulated in a debate that took place in March 1969 in the pages of the campus student newsletter, The Spectator, between black conservative Oliver Henry and me as a spokesperson for movement activism. This, oh man,
Internecine.
why I I've heard it pronounced and I just stared at it.
That's all right. Take that sentence.
This internecine struggle was
Oh,
largely
wait. Let's do a clean one. Sorry.
this internecine stutter. That's it just got worse. I
I'm
want
sorry.
people to hear the fuck ups at this point now.
Okay, that's
This
fine.
internecine struggle was largely limited to undergraduate black students until the 1968 takeovers, which initiated a dynamic that transformed the conservatives represented by Henry's position from a majority of black students to a distinct minority.
Boom.
So they removed that from the website because he's not the only one who spoke up on this. And as he says, he was directly involved.
Right.
And at the end, Columbia even says, like, we were wrong to have handled this the way we handled it.
Yeah.
And that's weird how right now they decide to remove all of these stories of all this rich history of protests on their campus.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why. Why do you think?
That's this is like an interesting dynamic to me. The whole like looking back at protests and like seeing these arguments on both sides. Like you get it when you research like slavery in the United States, you know, and you look at these arguments back and forth, and it's like so crazy in your mind to think that at one point these people that we now all culturally accept as the bad guys were once in the majority, you know, and that you have to really like think historically and think that like because they were in the majority, they were actually at that time thought of for the most part as the good guys, you know. And that's like a wild thing that you have to reckon with. And I think it really should be a lesson to older generations, like the people that are in power right now at these universities, that it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with the protesters, because time marches forward. The people have spoken. Like this opinion now about Palestine is reaching a majority point, you know, where it's like, this is going to be the majority opinion going forward. You can see it just based on how like the tides of public opinion are changing. So this is your opportunity to either do what will eventually be the good thing, the majority opinion, or become another sticking point in history where you look like a fucking jackass in the history books.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this to yourself?
That's like, I mean, that happens all the time in history. Like, do you think Nelson Mandela was 100% loved by everyone at the time he was doing what he was doing?
Right.
No. Do you think all the rich white people in capitalist America were like, fuck yeah, Nelson Mandela? Or do you think that came later when history showed who was right and who was wrong?
Right.
like
I think the best example
that were labeled like as a good Samaritan later after they died, but treated like shit during their whole life,
right
is insane.
The best example I think in U.S. history is MLK, because it's like when MLK was alive, he had like horrible approval rating. Yeah. Like the country basically hated him.
Yeah,
and then now he's like
had to kill him over it.
Right. And then a more modern example for people that might be younger would be the Iraq War. I bet you a lot of younger people than us would be surprised to know that like in 2001, 2002, 2003-ish, the polling for the Iraq War was insane. It was like almost 80% of Americans agreed with the Iraq war, which is nuts to think about now. And like, I still think of it that way, as a war that started really popular and turned really bad. But I bet people that are like 25 and younger, they hear the Iraq war and they're like, oh yeah, that was kind of like Vietnam. Like, it was bad the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But
that one is another example.
I attribute that to like fear. Like,
Yeah.
other than Pearl Harbor, which was 60 years before that.
Right.
Like,
right.
when was the US hit with an attack like that? So all of a sudden, Americans, without most of them knowing why anyone would attack the US, like, the majority of Americans at that point didn't understand why anyone would want to attack them.
Right.
So that fear, to them, it was out of nowhere. It was out of nowhere, terrorists attacking us on our own land.
And
so of
not
course
to be
people are going to be like, shit, we gotta protect ourselves.
Right. And not to be one of these like TikTok kids that just discovered the bin Laden letter.
Dude.
But because I actually had read the letter way before that became that little mini trend on TikTok a while back. But
did it touch you in the feelings? Because
I wouldn't say like I'm never gonna like, I don't have to hand it to the Taliban. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never gonna be that guy that like has to hand it to the Taliban.
Yeah.
But what you just described was like clearly articulated in bin Laden's many messages to America. Like
that, wait, all Americans got to hear those messages, right?
No, dude. Like, you had to really dig back in the day to find like, oh, the American press is saying they attacked us because they don't like our freedom. I wonder what the bad guys are saying. Like, good luck ever finding that back in 2002 America, you know?
But also,
we're so far afield
they didn't
right
have
now.
anything proving that was why they hated us either, but we still went with it.
No, but they said it. Yeah, they said it, and they said it really like confidently, which was enough apparently for about 80% of Americans.
Yeah, so we got a call on all countries of the world
to
stop these evil terrorists.
Well, wait, what was the one that one Bush quote? We have to stop them before the smoking gun is a mushroom cloud.
Yes. Before the smoking gun becomes a mushroom cloud. Then all of a sudden, every news station on repeat saying,
you know what I hate? I hate running into this is probably going to get cut because this has nothing to do at this point. We're so far afield.
Literally the phrase "jumping the gun." Literally.
I hate getting into arguments with people online lately about weapons of mass destruction, because they'll always say like, oh, we did find weapons of mass destruction. It was chemical weapons. And it's like, no.
Where'd they get those chemical weapons?
First of all,
and when
obviously.
did they stop being active?
Right, yeah. First of all, we gave them to them. They were ours. Yeah, like
we gave them that shit.
Yeah, obviously. Like, and so that's number one. And then number two is like, hold on a second, because I remember literally George Bush talking about a fucking mushroom cloud, and I've never seen any fucking white phosphorus create a mushroom cloud. Yeah. So what are we talking about?
Dude. Or wait, now they have mobile weapons labs.
Yeah,
it's Walter White is out there.
I need to re-listen to our Iraq episode, and we're gonna do an Iraq 2, because there's just so much. Like, I could talk about Iraq for like 8 episodes long.
Iraq 2.0. I'm down. V2 coming at you.
V2. There's so many angles as to why that. Whatever.
So I just want to be done from my notes.
Mm-hmm.
I have one last thing that I pulled that I wanted to read. So given this history we have, and don't just hear my 2 stories. If you're actually curious, there's so many times like amazing movements started from college campuses, not just these. And they're always like 9 times out of 10 met with state violence, which is wild. And so we learned this in the 60s, 70s, like it was wrong to send the cops. And maybe we should have listened to these activists. So fast forward to today. What do you think like a public statement from our own government at a federal level would be?
Well, do you want me to answer? Or because
Yeah, I do want your answer of like,
what I think it
coming
would
how
be.
far we've come, like,
Yeah.
and knowing they want to kind of pander to the audience. Like, you would think like a statement from the White House is probably going to be like in the middle. They're going to try not to piss anyone off, right?
Right. And even like, yes, that's like, that would be my like cynical view. And if I was in like an even more like America tinted glasses view, it would be like, America's a just society, a just democracy. Like we would be, a White House message would be, we stand in solidarity with these protesters. We don't think that it's right for these colleges to be run as hedge fund businesses that are supporting foreign governments. That's what I
Oh,
think
that's
would be
like
like a
word for
just,
word what they said.
wow,
No,
Biden
it's
is
not.
based. Oh, fuck.
Not even fucking close, dude.
Let's hear the official U.S. White House statement on these college protests. You
Yeah.
got it?
Do you want me to read that statement or the Fox News statement first?
Oh,
Oh,
whichever you
wait,
prefer.
they're the same fucking thing. Where Fox News posted it the day before, and the next
Yeah,
day, our White House says, while every American has the right to peaceful protest, calls for violence and physical intimidation targeting Jewish students,
targeting.
allegedly,
Yep.
and the Jewish community are blatantly anti Semitic, unconscionable, and dangerous. They have absolutely no place on any college campus or anywhere in the United States of America. White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew fucking Bates, really Bates Motel guy, said in
Right.
a
Come on.
statement, like, fucking Bates Motel is going to tell me this shit?
Right.
Like, what are we doing? If we're not learning from our fucking, like, our history is one of the best you can look at in the modern age to learn about like horrific things humans have done for thousands of years. Of like,
Yeah.
here, they're doing all of the bad things, like right in front of us. We can see it, and they're still fucking, goddamn,
You
still
know
on
what?
the wrong side of it. They're on the fucking,
Right.
like, I hate, and I don't think I've ever said this word on the podcast yet, and it was on purpose, but they're literally taking like a fascist stance.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
don't use that word lightly because it got, Antifa became a thing. Like, everyone has co-opted that word
Right.
to mean different things, but like in its literal form, that's like a fascist idea of like, I know that we have this law and it's like they're doing everything legal, but like,
But yeah. No.
like,
But no.
but nah, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna send in the state fucking police to handle your asses. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like, we're not learning, we're not growing. We might make laws here and there, but we don't fucking follow them or enforce them. Like,
Yep.
what are we doing here? Like, this is watching them lean into fascism because it's their only option they have left.
It's
Sorry, I finally used the F word.
yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you,
I'm afraid we're headed that way, and I don't want to have to fight the fucking fascists again, man.
I probably feel like I arrived at like the fascism conclusion of the United States earlier, but yeah, absolutely.
I
Mean,
just
that's a
didn't say it out loud on a podcast.
exactly. Yeah. No, I got you. The crazy the thing. Here's my take on this statement, and it took me a while to like figure out why I hated it so much. All right, if this statement was saying what the White House actually meant, like what their intention was, it would read like this. It would say, while every American has the right to peaceful protest, the calls that are taking place on college campuses for violence and physical intimidation targeting Jewish students and the Jewish community are blatantly anti-Semitic, blah, 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 right? They don't say that, though. They say, while every American has the right to peaceful protest, any calls, future calls, any type of calls, that may exist or may not exist for violence and physical intimidation targeting Jewish students and Jewish community are blatantly anti-Semitic, yada, 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 right? So like the difference there is that because they're not explicitly saying that those calls are taking place in that statement, Like it gives them like future historical. It's like the same as the WMD
CYA.
thing.
Just
Yes.
it's covering your own ass, man.
It's like it's like 10 years from now, if I try to bring this up in an argument, you know, and be like,
That
look,
won't
like the
hold up in
Biden
court.
administration was blatantly calling for these college campuses. They were saying these college campuses were calling for violence and physical intimidation of Jewish people. And I shared this quote. Somebody would be like, oh, that's not what it's saying. This quote is actually saying every American has a right to peaceful protest. But we think if it goes as far as calls for violence, you know, and it's like a hedge. It's like a
plausible deniability.
Exactly. It's like future plausible deniability. Like it's so not only is it like a bullshit fucking statement because their intent is to be against these college protests, right? And they're so not only is it that fucking dumb and on the wrong side of history, but number two, it's also like it makes them seem so weak. Like everything the Biden administration does is like weak because they won't even like outright say, you know, like this is one thing that I will give to Republicans in general is if a Republican was making a statement like this as a president, they would outright say like, yes, these college kids are literally lynching Jewish people. Like they would own it. They would fully own it. But like the Democrats always put in like they just write in such a weaselly way so that they have like historical whatever. Oh, no internet connection. Are you still there? I kept talking all the way to the point where it literally, I got just a black screen that said, you've been disconnected. But like everything was gone.
Jesus.
That's kind of fucking weird, right?
So is it going to like split the recording in two?
Yeah, it's going to. That's all right. I'll deal with it.
We were on such a good roll. So dude, I'm too conspiracy brain for this right now.
I know.
Government's trying to shut us down.
I don't know what happened, dude. That was bizarre.
There's too many leftist podcasts for us to be the ones they're looking at.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
There's too much going on.
Yeah, we're just a couple of the good old white boys, you know?
Yeah, leave us alone.
Jesus.
All right, well, I think, I don't know, I completely lost my train of thought.
I know, and you were on a good roll.
I was on a tangent for a minute there. They were like, all right, we got to cut this guy off.
Yeah.
He is really nailing it. Yeah, dude, you guys don't even know. The parts that got cut that I forgot from this episode, they were mind-blowing.
Yeah. They were so good, we don't even know what they are anymore.
They were so good, they're so mind-blowing, they killed JFK because of it. All right? Oh God damn. All right. For real. Yeah. Where were we? Let's see.
Not just Kennedy. They killed them all because of it.
Right.
Talking JFK, Kane, the other Kennedys, like Malcolm X, like all of them.
I think I was just going off about
he's alive in Cuba.
Tupac is alive in Cuba. I know. I've met him.
He actually got his doctorate. He's one of the plethora of doctors they have there.
Do you remember this is some extra cool content that probably won't make it into the episode, but our Patreon subscribers will hear. Do you remember Elian Gonzalez?
Why does that name sound familiar?
This might refresh your memory. You were probably a little young, but I was a perfect age for the Elian Gonzalez story. What happened was
like Epstein age.
Yes. What happened was there was a mother. All right, I'm going to fuck this story up, but I'm going to get it close enough to where the key points are important.
I was hoping when you said the mother, I'm going to fuck the mother. I thought that's where we were going.
No, I already fucked her. I already fucked her. To be clear, I already fucked her. I fucked her first. I fucked her. Elian Gonzalez's mother, I fucked her.
Yeah,
but no.
It's true. I saw it.
So generally, I think what happened was there was like some kind of domestic turmoil between Elian Gonzalez's mother and father. And Elian Gonzalez's that might not even be true. I don't know.
Wait. Is this the Cuban kid?
Yes, something happened.
That's why I know.
Yeah. The mother tried to flee Cuba to Florida, and like somehow or like sent the kid only, or like she passed away and on the travel, something like that. Like whatever ends up happening is, or how it comes to be, I don't really know.
Wait, did you
But I
fuck
do
her
know.
before or after the death?
Come on, dude. You know.
Both. Yeah.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
All
Hell
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah, no, but
yeah, this definitely is behind the Patreon wall now.
1,000%. Yeah, but no, so whatever ends up happening, whatever, it doesn't matter. Elian Gonzalez, the child, he's like 10 or 12 or something. He ends up with relatives of the family in Florida. He's staying with them. And the father was not on board with this. So he's like, "Hey, I need my fucking son back.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?"
That would make
like you
the most sense. Like, get him
right?
back to his dad.
You
His mom
cannot
died.
just like kidnap my son and take him to fucking America. Are you joking me? So he wants his son back, and it leads to this like giant thing in the news where they're like, what is going to happen with Elian Gonzalez? And it's just like, it's like a weeks long thing where we don't know what's going to happen. And it ends with like the police or INS or somebody has to like go and raid this home and take Elian Gonzalez he was hiding in a closet. The parents like hit him, or the relatives, the uncle, aunts, or uncle, or whoever, put him in a closet, and they like grab him out and take him back to Cuba. And most people don't know this, but Elian Gonzalez is now a politician in the Cuban government, and
Hell
like
yeah.
he fucking loves Cuba.
Hell yeah, brother.
Like hell yeah, brother. That is awesome. Good for
Dude,
him. I don't know if he's a good politician or not. He might be shit. I should probably look that up.
Yeah,
but,
who knows? But like,
yeah.
either way,
he loves
and
Cuba.
if you don't know that story, look into it. It's wild. Like,
It is wild, dude.
that's one that I didn't know about until the Blowback podcast, and then I even
really?
looked into it more because like a lot of the
dude, I watched it live. I watched it live.
To like,
when did that happen?
I wasn't old enough to like really care, and I doubt that's something my parents would have been like, hey, this is happening.
Yeah. When did all this go down?
Because like, yeah, my family was
1999. So yeah, I was
I was just watching Pokemon, man.
Yeah, I was 14. So yeah, perfect timing.
Old motherfucker.
I know, I'm old as fuck.
I'm getting there. It's fine. But yeah, you said 99? So yeah, I was 8. So
yeah,
I was still
like keyed in on the news at night.
Yeah, I wasn't like, well, let's see what's on the nightly news.
yeah. Elian Gonzalez shit was huge. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's the more I looked into that though, the more I'm like, we literally just sat here and like watched them debate on whether or not to give a child back to his dad. Like, why was there even a fucking debate? Like,
dude, it's crazy because like
Cuba's scary.
Yes,
like, well,
that's how they framed the whole debate.
Like, it's his father. Like, I don't care what you think. That is his father.
Yeah, they framed the whole debate like that basically like giving Elian Gonzalez up back to Cuba was like a death sentence. Yeah, that he was like, it was like sending him to hell. Was like that was the way the coverage was.
Themselves can't be safe.
No,
like,
can't be safe. Yeah, these people are communists, so they're evil and
inherently
evil
politician.
Yeah, inherently.
Obviously.
Anyways, all right. So I remembered what I was talking about. I was talking about how the Democrats are always super weak about their statements. I really hated that statement, not just for like what I know they meant, but also for how weak-willed it was. Which is like a staple of the Democratic Party is like, say the good thing, kind of, but also say it in a way that doesn't really tie you in,
It's like, for any Always Sunny fans, it's Mac playing both sides. It is
exactly
just, well, if I play both sides, I always come out
always
on
top. End up on top. Yeah,
like,
except for anyone who studies history goes, oh wait.
Yeah. So like, it's just them being able to like try to win over some people on each side instead of just staying true to like their own feelings and beliefs. They're like,
Right.
what'll make the most people happy to hear us say and
Right.
not be too
Exactly.
controversial. We won't take a side. And it's that centrist bullshit.
Right. Right. And yeah, if you're one of these people that starts talking about these college protests and it comes back to, or comes down to, like, I don't like the things they're saying, I don't like the signs they're holding, like,
Yeah, how
look,
dare they want free people to exist?
like, it's time to get
Those signs
serious.
offend me.
It's time to get serious about certain things. And, like, as leftists, we have to understand that moments of direct action require one thing and one thing only. And it's uncritical solidarity.
Mhm.
Like, now is not the time. If you want to try and, like, say, after the fact, after we've made these college campuses divest from Israel, after that happens, if
Then
you
we'll
want to say,
argue
okay,
semantics. Like,
yeah, if you want to go back and say, hey, look, for the next time, I don't want any of this stuff here, and I
yeah,
don't want any of that stuff here, and I don't want this, that's fine. That's perfect. We can have that discussion, and we can argue the merits, and we can go back and forth all we want, and we can talk about fundamentals and ideology and yada, 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 yada. Whenever, however long you want to, trust me, I will go on a fucking 48-hour straight debate with anyone about any topic that they want, right? And be completely open to change. Right now, though, when direct action is taking place, when direct action is happening, we have to practice democratic centralism. And that is, the majority decides what's taking place and what our movement is, and we follow. We stand in line and we follow and do exactly what everyone decides. Like, that's the only thing that can be happening right now. Don't argue, don't even engage anymore. And I'm guilty of this as well. Don't even engage with arguments about rhetoric,
yeah,
signs, statements. Oh, this person said whatever, anti-Semitic. Don't even
yeah.
engage. I don't care.
It's not even worth it at this point.
No, not important.
That's just, I don't know. I was trying to think of a good example, but I got
Yeah,
none.
there's a
Like,
time and place,
it's it's almost
straight up.
like just stopping in the heat of the moment to be like, wait, hold on, and then it kills all the momentum. Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
don't kill that momentum. You don't. And I don't know
There's
what you know about colleges and peaceful protests, but they're not fucking scary, dude.
yeah,
they're
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 not. They're
not.
not.
Like, look at the videos and they're like, here's our little encampment, and like
Seriously,
there's
you can
people
go
over
look
here
online.
making art in
The
the
stuff's not scary.
lawn. Like, it
It's a
is
community of people that just
like,
agree on this one topic and are coming together
yeah,
about it. Like,
it's
that's
like,
it.
I don't even know how to describe it. Like, if we have any like electronic music listeners and you've been to like a festival where everyone seemed peaceful and chill, people actually help each other. Like, a stranger will look at you and say, do you need some water? You look like you need water. Like, just that camaraderie. That's like what college protests tend to feel like, of just people being gentle and kind to each other and like looking out for one another, not for any reason other than they should. Like, these aren't violent people unless they're provoked into violence. Like,
Right.
the violence doesn't come out of nothing. It's not just first step out of nowhere. They go, you know what? Let's just dismantle everything, burn it all down, fuck everyone, cause chaos. No, they're
Right.
standing there. They're fucking just chilling. God,
Right. Right.
it's not
And
violent.
also, here's something that everybody listening, you should look into this concept, because we're about to see it take place in the next 24 to 40. Actually, if you're listening to this, it probably just took place, to be
Yeah,
honest.
because
Is the
today they tried to escalate things by
right.
saying they would
And
suspend all the students and
there's
not
a
let them graduate.
concept, yeah, exactly, there's a concept in leftist thought, and actually it might be more academic and, like, solidified now, but it's the concept of a police riot. If you're unfamiliar with that, just literally go to the Wikipedia page for police riot. It's like the concept that, um a lot of these riots and violent escalations that take place are actually not from the people that are quote unquote doing the rioting, and the escalation is all taking place by state actors like police, law enforcement, stuff like that. You know, they're the ones escalating the violence, hoping for some kind of reaction that they can do citations on, so that they can pump those statistics of like, look at how violent these people were, you know.
Have you started reading The Plot to Kill King?
No, I haven't yet. It's actually
like,
not. It's sitting over there. I'm starting it tomorrow.
Oh, because with once again, history tells us mostly all we need to know.
Yeah, am I nailing something from that book? Because
been,
this is just like
that. We're not just guessing that that's what they're doing. Since the 60s, that has been common practice for not only like police, but CIA, FBI. They literally have plans drawn up to infiltrate activist like protests, like, and they go in and try to stir shit up. They've been doing it forever. They did it a ton with MLK, and that's why over time he spoke more and more. And the one thing I kind of ever disagreed with about it has to always remain peaceful. And now I understand it more, because he knew they were trying to force them into not being peaceful. That is a common, like, known tactic. It's nothing new, and it's not us saying maybe they might do it. No, they fucking do it all the time.
Right.
God, I'm still riled up today.
You are.
I'm just.
It
upsets me. We're watching history repeat itself in the worst ways.
Do we want to? Do you want to do that poem,
dude? I skipped over it.
You're not feeling it, or you want to do it?
I can do it if you want.
It's up to you. I like it.
Yeah, it's I just know how it makes me feel, so I didn't want to read it while I was in the thick of it,
laughing mood. Yeah,
because it gives me feelings. It's an emotional thing, because it's written by someone who was protesting at Kent State when all of that happened and witnessed the murders.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the name of the poem by Daniel Thompson is called My Alma Mater. Jeez, I haven't even started reading it yet. I already feel it. So, this poem, I think it's powerful because it's written by that man. And the more I've read it, the more I've felt it.
Yeah.
So, May 4th, 4 more dead. Another march. Coffins by candlelight. The slaughtered innocents. To be buried in effigy. Jesus-faced carpenters. Doubling as pallbearers. Arts and crafts in the vanguard. Of the revolution in a homemade coffin. A homemade victim. Old clothes stuffed with rage. A shiny plastic American flag. Our scars and stripes forever. The death mask. Faces familiar flicker by. Stars scatter and hide. A few flowers around our made-believe corpse. Make me think again, the final death of flower power. Talking over the open graves, what can be said? That hasn't been said, that hasn't already been said. My Lai, Cambodia, Black Panthers. And now, hard to believe, my alma mater, Kent State. Oh, America, cold machine in high fever. Why must you devour the young? In early morning tenderness, the tears from our dead mingle with the dew. The victory bell rests in silence. That ringing in the ears, merely the echo of gunfire. And I'm almost in tears, and I've read it 100 times now. Like,
it's really, really, it's really powerful stuff, you know. And
I'm okay with me breaking up in parts of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's tough to think about when you know that whole story.
Yeah, it's we joke, we have fun, we talk and try and bring some levity to things, of course, but what we talked about earlier in the podcast about, the possibility of National Guard coming out and there being something bad taking place. Why must you devour the young? From this poem, "Oh America, cold machine and high fever, why must you devour the young?" The reason we care so much is because, like, there is a historical precedent for this becoming a tragedy.
Yes.
And it happens quicker than anybody can think. So we need to take this seriously and show that solidarity.
Yes. Even if you don't agree 100%, you have to have solidarity. These young people are not stupid. They're not speaking out of hand. They're not getting too rowdy. They're trying to stand up for what they believe is right.
Yeah.
At their very core, that's what it is. Something they
100%.
feel strongly is right and just. And either you support or you don't.
Right.
There's no center field on this.
There it is. All right. I'm sorry for the quick exit, but I got to run.
Can I say one last thing?
For sure.
To anyone who gets involved in any of these protests, be safe, be careful, treat others with respect and kindness, and most importantly, when the cops come, if they have someone pinned down on their chest, we see this tactic all the time with their knee on the chest, set a timer. It only takes 6 minutes for someone to die of asphyxiation in that position with their knee on the back. Don't fight them, because you're literally looking at life and death in that moment, and that person shouldn't struggle too hard. They should, if they're in that position, just accept it for that moment, because your life is worth more than that. Like, if they kill you there, you can't keep fighting. And
don't become a
seeing
tragedy.
that so much, that is a very important part. Is it's great to fight back until they have you in a compromised position. And at that point, safety. Look out for each other.
There we go. Be safe out there. Good luck. Love y'all.
Yeah, I'm here with Lázaro Abuelo. You are a father of a student at USC who's here. Tell me why you're on campus. You also said you're a Los Angeles resident.
I am here to support my daughter. She's studying here, and they're protesting against the genocide. And that's why I am against the genocide. My family is against the genocide. We think that no kid deserves to be killed.
But why did you come down to campus?
Yeah, because my daughter started organizing too. Says, hey, we have to support Palestine. And that's why I am here. Not only to support Palestine, we want the genocide to stop.
Do you know where your daughter is right now?
Right now, gotta be somewhere, because the police start chasing all the students. As you see, they are threatening, if we don't leave the campus, we are gonna be arrested. But the students are so brave. Look at them. They don't want to leave the campus.
Does that concern you, though, as a father, that your daughter is somewhere?
Even though it concern me, but my daughter did the right decision. If she rather to be arrested fighting for Palestine, I will be the happiest daddy. I will be the happiest daddy if she's doing the right thing. And I know she's doing the right thing. If the police arrest me now, I am willing to go with the students. I have no problem, because what I am doing is the right thing, fighting against a genocide. I have kids, not only the teenagers, I have a 7 years old, and I imagine being a father in Palestine to see my kid be assassinated by Israel. That's not good. We are humanity. This is not a matter of religion, political. No, we are humans. We cannot support any genocide.
Well, we will let you go and find your daughter, and I appreciate you talking to us.
Free Palestine, always.
Thank you for talking to us.
wanna thank you for flying with us. We know you could've stayed home, just cried and cussed. May all your guns go off if it's time to bust. May all their tanks have time to rust. They got the armies turning bullets into gold. They got the hookers turning tricks into cold. And every time the police kicks in the dough, an angel gas breaks dips in the O. And even if a D-boy flips in my O, it ain't enough to buy shit anymore. Sleep in the doorway, piss on the floor. Look in the sky, wait for missiles to show. It's finna blow, cause they got the TV, we got the truth. They own the judges and we got the proof. We got hella people, they got helicopters. They got the bombs and we got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. Talk about it, I show. Read about it, I know. Talk about it, I show. Read about it, I know. I just spit the dope lines, I don't snort them. Tell the boss to call police to escort them. You don't write out them lies, you just quote them. Get offline, plug into this modem. No, you can't outvote them, the rules are still golden. Only jewels we holdin's if we guarding our scrotum. If you press the ear to the turf that is stolen, you can hear the sound of limitations exploding. Please, sir, may we have another portion? We're children of the beast that dodge the abortion. Neck plate firm between the floor and the portion. When shut your shit down, don't call it extortion. Caution, we're coming for your head. So call the feds and get files to shred. Every textbook read said bring you the bread. But guess what, we got you instead. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine.